Oh, hey, deserving listeners, happily ever after. Tell all. Should be a good one. Let's watch.
I need y'all's help, girls. I'm having anxiety.
That's why we're here.
Okay, so there's nothing wrong with relying on family members, even young family members, for support, emotional support. But there is something potentially harmful to children and really not ideal for you because you would prefer to have people at your level giving you support, but can be harmful to children to put that burden on them to... The idea is that when adults are taking care of each other, as an adult, hopefully, not always, but hopefully you have the resources to take care of yourself as an adult. A healthy adult that was raised well enough should be able to have. Meaning that if my friend tells me, or my wife tells me, or someone, even my parents, since I'm an adult, tell me about something that is very difficult for them, even if it's very scary for me or very distressing for me, I have the resources to take care of myself. I have the power and the experience to reach out for help or even push back on people, right? Now, of course, we can't guarantee that adults have that. A lot of adults don't, but children definitely don't have that ability. There's not a single child, especially of this age, who has the ability to push back when they need to reach out for help, notice when they're in distress, know how to manage things. Because the other part of this is that when you're a child, you depend on the adults in your system, in your family system, to take care of you. And if the adults are falling apart, then you have no one to depend on. You're completely just flapping in the wind. And it's a developmental reality that psychologically and developmentally as children, up until pretty late in life, really. I mean, you could argue in today's world that can last until you're in your 20s-ish. I've seen young, early 20s people have a lot of stress when their parents are going through things. And so even then sometimes, because it's not like there's this magic cutoff time where suddenly you have the capacity. So anyway, but definitely with kids, you don't want to burden them, one, because it's distressing and they don't have the resources to soothe the self, and also they don't have the ability to push back, and also they don't know that they can do things on their own if you are preoccupied with some distress. But, within reason, there's, you can rely on children for some emotional support. It's not impossible for it to be okay. So let's see how this goes.
I know it, thank God. I'm going to New York, I'm going to see Papa Michael. I don't even know if I want to go. He's got my confidence low. I'm really upset with him.
Yeah, I mean, I can't know what effect this has on the kids, but I would not recommend that Angela... I mean, there's so many other people Angela could be talking to. And if you don't have other people to talk to about this, then get on it, because you need appropriate support people in your support system who can help you in situations like this. You shouldn't, because that's often the case, is adults will rely on children because they don't have anyone that they can talk to that is appropriate. What she's saying right now, especially because if she ever plans on having Michael in her life, which just seems not likely, but I don't know. I mean, they're still together after all this time. So, but it sounds like at least that's a possibility. Well, if Michael comes to live with her, and I think the kids might even live with her, that the kids are going to have a pretty complicated relationship about Michael and Angela. And that's just too much. And if you're ever in a position like with Tiffany and Ronald and Daniel, where you're like, well, but my kids, they're like an old soul, my kids. That's an even bigger red flag. If you have already socialized your kid to adopt an adult-like persona, then there's a lot of damage that's already been done. That is not a reason to double down and continue to burden them with things. The fact that they are an old soul might just be that they're an old soul, but it might also be because you've socialized them, you forced them to give up their childhood, essentially. What she's doing right now is, I would generally recommend against it.
I gotta go see him. So if I gotta go see him, I need to look hot.
Make him jealous.
Yeah, boost me up, Ronnie. That's what I need. I need some boosting right now.
Yikes. Yeah, yikes. Maybe this is why they started this off. Maybe the producers knew that this would... I hope it bothers people. I mean, if she was talking to a friend, okay. Kids? Children. Can
y'all help me?
Yeah.
Let's look at this one.
No.
Why?
It looks short.
Well, it is short. Maybe I want it to be short. Look.
I'm just going to throw this out here. You could make an argument for this to be sexually exploitative of the children, to put the children literally in a position of evaluating your sex appeal to Michael, because that's what she's basically saying, is it not? That is, I mean, just socially inappropriate, but could be damaging. I've had people in my office, children, teens, adults, who have been traumatized by such things. There are subtle sexual traumas that one can experience. You know, there's the classic traumas, of course, that everyone can identify, hopefully. I mean, at least intellectually, you should be able to understand what behaviors would be problematic in that way. But there are subtle things like exposing children to just sexuality in general that is not age appropriate. There's a lot of debate about this, but this is in that category. And I don't know if I'm just biased because of Angela's behavior, but why? She has that other friend. She could talk to her daughter, which isn't great, but at least the daughter's a grown woman. Why in the world are you I mean...
I can't tell you if I'm gonna stay, leave. I don't know. That's not like me. Honest to God, Michael's got me. Do you know how much anxiety Jemima's having? I'm gonna be like emotionally up and down, cause you know we've been not getting along. I'm just going because I'm gonna raise holy Mima hell.
And the modeling, of course, that I'm sure y'all are thinking about. I mean, she is modeling behavior. I mean, even if it would seem to us pretty obvious that the kids would conclude that this is not behavior that they should emulate, children do what they see. They become their parents and their caregivers, their grandparents. Yeah, there's so many issues here. It's really icky.
Text messages.
I put a lot of time and money. I flew over there, I don't know God how many times.
You invested a lot into him. Cut your losses, cut your ties.
I'll tell you this, I got a secret weapon coming.
You do?
I got a man.
A man? Who is he? How long you been knowing this man?
Several months.
All right, so if you're broken up, then yeah, go ahead and date. Or you're polyamorous and you have an agreement or an open relationship, then go ahead. But if you're in an exclusive relationship, then not okay, right? Does it make it okay if Michael is cheating? Does it make it okay that she is also cheating? Two wrongs don't make a right. Why not just break up with Michael? But she's also saying for several months. So does that mean that even before she knew that Michael was cheating? I mean, she was cheating emotionally with Billy, right? So it doesn't sound like it's Billy. It sounds like it's someone else. I mean, I don't know. All right. Well, what can I say? Could be all faked. Could be all just manufactured for the show by the producers or her or both or who knows. But what I can say is, generally speaking, there are some people that have a greater challenge when it comes to empathy and thinking about other people's feelings. And at the very least, I can say that Angela's behavior this season in particular exhibits potential for that conclusion. And for those individuals, they were either raised that way, sometimes there's genetics that are possibly involved, hard to tell, that will contribute to some people just having a really hard time considering other people's feelings, and it will show in their behavior, it will show in the way they treat others. They might walk and talk and act like anyone else, but there's just a difference, and the difference is they just don't really care, and other people are just there to meet their needs. And because, you know, when you're married and you have empathy, you have a normal bell curve average capacity for empathy, then your relationship with your partner, with your spouse, is about your needs, but it's not just about your needs. You know, there are times when you are thinking, well, you know, like a easy example is you're driving in a car and you're listening to the radio and a song comes on that you absolutely love, but your partner absolutely hates. So in that moment, if you just went with how you feel, then you listen to that song. But if you care and you have a normal sense of empathy, then you look at your partner and be like, well, I can listen to this song another time, and they're in pain. I don't want them to listen to the song, so I'll switch songs. So it's not about my needs. It's not about me thinking about what I want. It's about also incorporating what someone else wants, even when it's contrary to what I want. And of course, there are greater examples of that, greater sacrifices that we have to make that are not getting us what we want. It might even be say your families live in different towns and you have to choose a town to live in. And so you might live in the town of your in-laws and it really takes you away in a really painful way from your family. But, that's an agreement that you make with your partner. There can be, pretty big sacrifices, largely due to empathy, right? Now, of course, you don't want to be a doormat, but my point is that there are some people that just seemingly don't have that capacity. Now, some people do have the capacity, but it's rudimentary or it is compromised by defenses, narcissistic defenses, other kinds of defenses that will impair their ability to enact or even notice their empathy because they're so preoccupied with their narcissistic supply or something like that.
Who is he?
I better not say.
What is this secret weapon going to do?
He's going to help me get to the bottom of this lying. He's agreed to help me expose Michael with all of his shady bull.
Oh, so not a partner, not a romantic partner, just a friend who's going to help him out, Michael? Is that what we're hearing? I don't know.
Hello, everybody. Hi, look at this fabulous looking crew.
You look fabulous too.
How's everybody feeling today?
Good.
Good. Hi, Angela.
Hi, Sean. How are
See you
you?
again.
What's up, Ed?
How are you doing?
Crazy How are you? Hey, Liz. Nice.
So I haven't been reacting or showing my reaction to Angela. She's said and done a number of things that normally I would comment on, but it's just more of the same. The one thing that I will say that was, at least my interpretation, of course, is that she talked about how she was shaking on the inside as she's prepping to come onto the tell-all. And I think that's because, I don't know, if she could be doing this as a calculation of, because the fact that she's even on so many seasons, presumably it's because that she does the kinds of things that she does, which is very dramatic and over top and aggressive, and it makes interesting television, and she probably knows that. You can make money, at the very least you can get notoriety, and we unfortunately have a society where you can be hated by everyone but make a lot of money from that because the notoriety. I mean, think of Andrew Tate, who, time of this recording, thank God, is actually in prison right now in Romania for charges that, I mean, they talked, by the way, I'll probably do an episode about this maybe, and maybe I've already posted it, but the point is a little update on Andrew Tate. From what I understand from the news stories is that he previously, maybe months, years ago, had allegedly trafficked in people, sex trafficking, had forced people into sex work. Upon leaving Romania, for whatever reason, there was no extradition agreement with the United States, I don't know, and was allowed, or with Britain, because I think he's a British citizen, English citizen, that he was able to go free. And he went back to Romania, and because he was in a Twitter fight with Greta, wonderful environmental activist, that she went after him, and then he went back after her. And his rebuttal to her was like talking about how he has all these awesome cars. I mean, it was pathetic. I mean, it was one of the, even for him, it was just if you've seen the tweets that were going back and forth, it was just pathetic. And then Greta tweets back and says, well, I respect your opinion, and if you would like to send me any pictures of your cars, you can send it to Greta at Big Dick Energy or Little Dick Energy. What's the insult? Apparently it's the most liked tweet in all history, Greta's tweet. But anyway, in his rebuttal, there's some background video, and it seemingly indicated that he was from Romania. I think a lot of news reports are focusing on the pizza boxes, but I think it's more than that. And the Romanian police were monitoring his social media, supposedly looking for evidence of him being in country so that they could apprehend him, and they had enough evidence from the tweets that he was in Romania, which adds all these questions. Like, so you can get into Romania without using a passport, or does he have a fake passport? Or I don't know, maybe you can just, because are they in the EU? Can you just waltz into the country and there's no questions asked? Anyway, point is that he's being held right now, potentially going to stand trial along with 3 other people. Sounds like his brother and a couple police officers, a woman police officer in Romania. I don't know. It's all just stuff I've read. But when I read the descriptions from the victims, it is extensive. I mean, it's not just a mild case where it's sort of a gray zone sex trafficking thing. It's like straight down the middle sex trafficking, where allegedly he and his brother tricked women into believing that they were in a romantic relationship and then proceeded to imprison these women and force them into internet sex work, or else they would be like severe consequences that they were being threatened with, and assaulted as well by themselves or other people or both or something. And sadistic stuff, psychopathic, sadistic crimes. And if it's even close to the truth, then he should be behind bars for the rest of his life, him and his brother. I mean, it is awful, truly awful. I mean, so when you match that possibility up with what we saw on the internet and what I reacted to, the videos that I was reacting to, it's all just bone chilling. Because it's one thing to have someone who's having a lot of toxic masculinity and arrogant. It's another thing to have that and to have what we saw to be just the tip of the iceberg in terms of the toxicity. Because a lot of it from him just looked like bravado. But then you're like, no, he might actually believe that women are nothing. Because look the way he not only just treated women romantic partners, but just women he didn't even know that well, that he would prey on them, premeditate. I mean, who knows? It's all alleged. But Angela was talking about how she was having a lot of adrenaline. So I think what's happening for her, I don't know, it looks like that she has humiliation trauma. It's not something that's often talked about, but it's something that obviously can happen. Some of you might suffer from humiliation trauma, and there are various different ways of coping with it, one of which is to overcompensate by getting out ahead of humiliation by humiliating other people. And if you have a tremendous amount of humiliation trauma and a tremendous amount of humiliation schema, meaning that you have this constant voice in your personality telling you that you're a fool and that you're embarrassing and that you're ridiculous, if you have a significant amount of that, then you need a significant amount of defense to defend against that. And one style is to overcompensate by constantly trying to make a fool out of everyone else. But in a ironic twist, by doing that, you make a fool out of yourself, which is often the way these schemas work. They often come back around 360 and bite us in the butt in the very way we're trying to defend against. Oh, so right. I was bringing up Andrew Tate because I was like, is it just bravado as a way of trying to get attention? And there's that possibility. But there's another possibility that her behavior on this show is actually a fair representation of at least a part, if not a significant part of her personality, that it's a genuine, authentic part of who she is. She's not putting on a show. And when I hear about adrenaline and her saying that she's shaking on the inside, then I don't know, but given what we've seen, if it is honest and authentic, then there's a chance that this proposed humiliation trauma is being triggered tremendously, as it would be for anyone before going on a tell-all like this. And she's starting to second guess herself. I'm going to make a fool out of myself. Everyone knows I'm a fool. And then she starts to step into the persona that she had to develop maybe when she was very young to protect herself. Maybe it was modeled to her or something. And so she was already starting to combat people before she even walked in. But she walked up to Ed and was like, hey, I like you, which, again, it's just odd that people that have affinity for each other, Ed, Bilal, Angela.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Let's talk about empowerment. When we feel empowered, we recognize our strengths. When we feel empowered and we experience adversity, we're more likely to see it as a welcome challenge rather than an overwhelming obstacle. And since we're social creatures, we often need help from others to feel empowered at times. We might need others to give us perspective. We might need others to recognize how we might be able to overcome the obstacle. And sometimes the people around us, they're really not that much help. I've been there before. When I went to therapy for the first time when I was 19 years old, it was primarily because none of my friends were very helpful in this area. Sometimes it's really great to talk with a therapist when you want to feel more empowered. Well, that's where BetterHelp comes in. BetterHelp is convenient and flexible and affordable. If you want to live a more empowered life, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/Kirk today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Kirk.
I don't have nothing to do with this.
I hope not, Kim, because I have nothing wrong with you.
So keep me out of it.
It's not gonna be good, stupid ass.
Shut the up. Here you go already.
Get out!
Shut
Get
up.
out.
Shut
Stupid
up.
ass. Tell me
Shut
that.
up.
Tell me that.
Yeah, so just more. Usman's not in the room, thank God, because this could become violent. She's been violent with other people in the past or threatened. The very first tell-all she was on, she just started laying into that one woman. I forget her name. Was her name Avery? It just started going after her for no reason, and they had to pull them apart, and it all started then.
It's not gonna be good. Who the you think is scared of you?
You're all talking, no action.
Let me
you
tell you
piece of-
something.
You're using this woman.
Nonsense. Rubbish.
He
Big
used
for
you, and
nothing.
you're a beautiful woman.
Stop. Let's
Well,
stop.
guys,
Get your
Can
teeth
we
fixed.
please stop? The show
Get
has
your
not
teeth
even
fixed.
started yet.
So Sean's like, can we please stop? Now, you'd think Sean, or at least the producers in Sean's ear, would be like, this is gold. Like, this is exactly what we wanted from Angela. But maybe not. Let's watch.
I just left Nigeria.
That's
Where were you?
unfortunate. It
Where
is so
were you?
unfortunate my
Guys,
brother from
guys,
Nigeria who called
guys.
somebody like you.
Yeah.
You
Hold on.
scam him. You host him as a
Hold on.
hostage.
Okay.
Angie, nonsense.
Angela.
Angela, sit, come on.
Angela, chill down and respect us, please.
Yara, shut up.
Yeah, I suspect that Angela is having a great deal of distress and possible trauma triggering. It does not excuse at all any of this behavior. The standing up, the everything's about me, I own this place, I'm not going to sit down, I'm going to be aggressive with people, I'm going to get in their faces, I'm going to be physically threatening to people. But I'm guessing that she is in distress and she feels like the solution is to try to humiliate other people. But of course, it comes back around to her, making her look like the fool, in my opinion. I can't imagine anyone watching that. Although sometimes I wonder if there's like this some vast sea of the majority of the audience of the show that's like, yeah, Angela is awesome. I mean, because every once in a while I'll bump into someone that I don't know that well, or even someone I do know well, frankly, who doesn't watch my reaction videos, and we'll talk about the show, and they'll have just a completely different take on what they're watching. My impression is that people just watch it casually, you know, they're not really, and plus they're not clinicians, so they're not looking at it through that lens, and they might just sort of buy the narrative that the producers are trying to shove down people's throats. And one of the narratives that I think they're trying to, or at least provoking us, I don't know, is that Angela is a strong, independent, no-nonsense woman who just tells it like it is. That's not how I see it. At least her behavior is abusive, dominant, aggressive, possibly criminal, controlling, completely self-centered, with entitled, just all sort, never taking responsibility, never apologizing. I mean, literally never. Claiming that she's the victim in everything, accusing Michael of things that she indeed is doing herself and Michael may or may not be doing. Doesn't seem like he's doing. Now, we don't know. Maybe he has been cheating recently, but up until this point, and he did cheat way in the past. But anyway, point is that sometimes I wonder if when people watch this and the producers intend on this to happen, and this is who they're playing to, is that people love Angela, that they think she's awesome. She gives it to people. Everyone deserves it, and you know, I guess everyone's entitled to their take on things, but if sometimes people's reactions like that, it's disheartening, because it means that the general awareness of abuse or of fair behavior or of, I don't know, abuse and fair behavior has become so askew in our society that people don't see this for what it is. But I do know a lot of people who actually do react in a very similar way that I do. I mean, I know that there are some YouTube channels and podcasts that won't even talk about Angela because they don't want to give her the satisfaction. They don't want to give TLC the satisfaction of paying attention to an abusive person. So I know that there's that. And along those lines, like, I did consider that myself and have considered it with various different individuals. But given my angle on this YouTube channel, I find that, well, for sure, let's not glorify and reward, but let's call it out so that it's a great opportunity to educate. If I don't talk about this, I run the risk of never having an example of saying that is abusive behavior. You should never do that, and you should also possibly know where it comes from. And if you're being abused in this way, you should know that that's not okay. So I consider it an overall societal good for me to talk about. But, you know, I guess I could consider other perspectives. But anyway, so,
You
don't
I
know
don't
what
give
I
a sit down and
Why
respect
don't you
us.
sit me down,
are
bitch?
unrespectful.
Sit me down.
Sit
Sit
down.
me down.
Sit down and have some respect.
yikes. Just yikes. Getting in people's faces. It's disgusting. 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 Getting in someone's face. Just disgusting. There. We will put people in prison for having a bag of weed in this country for years. But people can do this shit their entire life and never incur any kind of consequence. Might maybe even get rewarded for it.
Respect
You
for
don't know what I've
everybody.
been. I have to respect
I
no
don't
one.
care, dude.
And I
I
don't
don't
either.
care.
And I just shut your mouth.
Guys,
She's
what is going on?
I don't care. Sit down.
I don't think I've ever heard Sean raise her voice like that. I mean, we've seen her get frustrated and also just kind of throwing her hands up at times with an exasperated look on her face. But I don't think I've ever heard her raise her voice like that. That's interesting.
Sit me down.
Sit
Sit
down.
me down.
Sit down and have some respect
You
for
don't know what I've
everybody.
been. I have to respect
I
no
don't
one.
care, dude.
And I
I
don't
don't
either.
care.
And I just shut your mouth.
Guys, what is going on?
I don't care. Sit down.
Go and get your seat, pig.
Move.
Okay, Angela's leaving already.
Rubbish.
Yeah, all the attention. She, I talked for a long time. That whole scene was probably 30 seconds, 25 seconds of time where she walked in and proceeded to congratulate Ed and bond with him, and then attacked Usman, then attacked Yara, kind of was attacking Michael, gets in Yara's face. I mean, if Jovi was a different sort of guy, I mean, that could have come to violence, right? To stand over someone like that, put your finger in someone's face, that's a provocation. And that's reason to protect someone. If someone did that to my wife or I would have every right to stand up and say, back up, get out of my face. You are threatening me right now. Get out of my space right now. You're yelling at me, putting fingers on my, back up. You can't do that to people. You can't just from an entitled position, just say, I have the right to intimidate whoever I want. I can stand over whoever I want. I can scare whoever I want. I can abuse whoever I want. Not okay.
Dog. Him. Good night.
And in a perfect world, she would walk off the show and she would never be heard from again. Honestly. I've been reacting to these shows at your request for almost 3 years now. There are some people that I don't know if I feel like I'm sort of at the end, and I know I've said this about Angela before, so maybe I should just listen to myself this time. I don't know. So it's just so triggering, and so I end up yammering. So maybe I should just say a little bit and then say insert lots of other words that I have probably already said, and I'll just tell you that I'm having a pretty angry reaction right now. Let's just move forward so we don't have to waste. I feel like it's sort of wasting time or something. I don't know. But then other times I think, well, everyone has a person like this in their life, maybe multiple people. Some of you actually might be like this. Some of you will email me and say, you know what, I'm kind of like that. And to hear you give a compassionate point of view, even though you're not condoning it, of course, has helped me to take care of myself and apologize and get help that I need. So, I don't know. What do you think? All right, well, that does it for that episode. If you ever want to contact me or ask me a question, the best way is to go through our website, psychologyinseattle.com. The contact button, there should be a link below. That's the best way to get a hold of me. And if you ever want me to answer the question on the podcast or something, or if there's a business inquiry, that kind of thing. If you comment below, I might not see it. If you DM me in various different places, I might not see it. So that's the best way. Also, if you're a patron, then your questions get preference in terms of, because I get a lot of emails, unfortunately. Back in the old days, I used to be able to answer every single emailed question in detail. I can't do that anymore, unfortunately. So if you're an upper tier patron, an annual patron, then your questions are more likely to pass by my desktop. But, just keep that in mind. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.